Honore, welcome back to this mini series we're doing on the best-selling book formula. In the last episode, you gave us a rundown of what the best-selling book formula is, in addition to some great thoughts on how to title your book. Now we want to dive into the first of four really important keys that you talk about in the best-selling book formula, and that is making the book easy to read. What is that all about, and why is it important?
Yeah, so a book that's easy to read is a book that will get read, right? Have you ever started to read a book and it made your brain hurt? It was
Yeah.
just the writing was, I'm going to say, above my pay grade, right? Above my reading level and above the level of effort that I wanted to put in. And so understanding that at least in the United States, the average reading level is about seventh grade.
Hmm.
You want to make sure that your book is at about the seventh grade reading level. And that actually, I think, is a sign of intelligence. A sign of intelligence to me is someone who can take something that's complex and intricate and interesting and be able to explain it simply to anyone.
That's really good.
So I think that people really dig a $10 word, and I'm one of the people. I, I like fancy words. I like knowing them. I like using them. However, when someone is reading a book, if they hit a word they don't understand, it's like driving an old car over a big speed bump in a parking lot. It's like, "Ugh," and it's painful, right? When you go over a big speed bump, you're just kind of like holding your breath, like, am I going to make it through this? As opposed to making it an effortless read that they understand and they can pick up. So part of making a book easy to read is using smaller words as opposed to bigger words, using shorter sentences instead of longer sentences, making your reading level around the seventh grade reading level or even a little bit lower.
How would people know what the level, what the grade level of their writing is? Are there some tools that you would recommend that people could use to get a firm grip on that?
Yes, definitely. There's a website called renaissance.com, and they have something called the ATOS. And I don't actually remember what that stands for, but the ATOS analyzer, and you can upload your manuscript and it will tell you what the average grade level is, how many words in your project, how many average words in a sentence. So you want to have 8 or less words in a sentence, and you want to have a
Hmm.
seventh grade reading level, and you want your average words to be, am I going to remember this right? Like 6 words or 6 letters. So 6 to 8 letters or less per word. So the shorter words, shorter sentences, lower grade level. So some people like to take a simple word and make it complicated.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't want to get a job. I want to be employed. Right? But why would you say employment when job will do?
Yeah. How
Right?
does
Why would you?
somebody I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, why would you say biography when you could say bio? Right? When if you can convey the same message with less words, shorter words, more simple words, why would you not do that? Because this is the very first key
Hmm.
in writing a best-selling book.
What if somebody has been in a role for a long time, and here I'm really talking like about academic people.
So,
So I've talked to a number of people who have been college professors or teachers, and they've said, especially people who've like gone on and done dissertations, they said that it's really, really hard for them to write simpler because they're so used to writing for that academic type audience. How can somebody are there some ways that people can kind of shift that in their mind to start to simplify their writing? And not just academics, but let's anybody from fields where they're writing in ways that are kind of naturally complicated and more bloated. How can somebody do that? Is it just a matter of training themselves and practice?
yes, I do suggest that you read your words potentially through the eyes of a reader. So kind of take yourself and kind of flip it. Go, am I making sense? Do I need to use
Okay.
this word? If you see a longer word, go to thesaurus, and you don't need to use the word esoteric. You can use the word unique,
Right.
right?
That's
So
good.
it doesn't it, it you can still use the words, if that is what your audience is looking for. But again, I think we're trying to take a book that someone is writing and make it so that it's very commercial. And
Yeah.
this easy to read
Okay.
part is the first part of it. So reading your book, I always just write like I talk, and then I go back and fix it.
Okay.
Right.
I
So
like
that's
that.
the first thing, is like write with abandon, write the way that you would write anyway. Don't worry about it in that first draft. But then go through and look for the longer words, look for the more complicated words, the more complex words, and see if you can make them simple. I use this thesaurus. That's what I do. Thesaurus.com is my bestie.
Hmm.
First thing in the morning when I'm writing. And also let your editorial team know what you're doing. So I'm going to say to my editor and my proofreader, listen, I want this to be really simple and easy for people to read and understand. So I want to, again, I love the big words. I think they're fun. I'm a book nerd, but not everybody who reads my books is the same. And so I want
Yeah.
to respect that. It's the same reason I will pick up some authors, the fiction authors that I know I'm going to be able to just breeze through their books because they're not trying to be literature.
Right.
Right?
Right.
They're trying to be entertaining. And when I'm reading fiction, I want to be entertained. I don't also necessarily want to be educated in that same moment. So I want to give my brain a break, and I want it to be easy to read. So that's what your readers are looking for, especially if they're wanting to learn from you. I think the mistake some authors make is they think it has to be more complex. They have to prove
Hmm.
how smart they are, when in fact I think the opposite happens, is like they do prove that they're smart, but they also inadvertently make their readers feel stupid
Yes. So
or
the
less
question is
intelligent,
kind of, do you want to be respected and admired, or do you want to be read and have a best selling or slash best earning book?
or both. Do you want to be someone who is perceived as intelligent and really knowledgeable on your subject, but also able to communicate with someone
Right.
and
Right.
not make them feel less than? It's always interesting to me when I talk to someone who majored or minored in French, and they're all like, "Oh, I can't really talk to you, Honore, because your French is not perfect." But I talk to French people and they're lovely. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're trying to speak my native tongue." It's the same thing. It's like I would rather have a more simple book that everyone understands than for everyone to know that I have
Yeah.
this really bougie vocabulary, um, and not be approachable. The last thing I would ever want someone to feel is that I, as the author, am not approachable and my subject is not approachable. My book is
Right.
not approachable.
Do you think some of this comes sometimes from authors just feeling a little insecure?
I
And
honestly don't know where it comes from. I think we have, but if you go back to what you said about people in academia, like I think there might be some encouragement or pressure, either one,
totally,
to
totally.
to be more highfalutin,
Right. Right.
to be to write at a higher level. Now I'm saying, hey gosh, like I appreciate that in academia, and maybe that's great in academia, but if you want your book to be widely read and widely understood and all
Yeah.
the other things we're going to talk about, then you will want to simplify it to make it easy to read. That's
Yep.
all I'm saying, is the books that I analyzed, not a one of them was using complex terms. And if they did, it was like, here's what this word means, and here are the other words that mean this word. Like very simple. English is my first language. They were simplified. It was simplified. It was simple for the reader to read it and understand it. I have put books down because I get to a certain point in the book and I'm like, this is where it's one, two, three, many. My brain isn't
I'm
working.
done.
I'm done. I'm out. I can't do it.
This is really, really good stuff. And I think all of us really need to hear this. Even if writing simple may come naturally to us, there's always things that we can improve to make it more understandable and clear to the reader. Because ultimately, isn't that what we want? We want writing that is clear, simple, understandable. Because if people are confused or if they get frustrated because they feel like they're not smart enough to read our stuff, then they're out the door. So this is really good stuff. I appreciate it. Um, well, in the next episode, we're going to talk about books that are easy to remember, So I'm really excited about that. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.